about it a little bit, Ethan, but to end off here, let's talk about the big news, which is Tim Bontemps reporting today that he is going to be shut down now. He's going to San Antonio. He's disappearing. The
Mm-hmm.
only unhealthy food he's eating is breakfast tacos, and he's going to come back. And him and CD are doing a Spanish HEB commercial. Well, it's going to
Let's
be a
go.
Spanish English. It's going to be like a little bit of both, maybe some French in there too. A 3-language HEB commercial
Mm-hmm.
before the preseason game. That's the next time we'll see him. No, seriously though, what do you think about the decision to shut him down? And then also the fact that he is about to go disappear.
I love it. And I don't know if you watched NBA today. I was listening to it when I was at the gym today. Kendrick Perkins was like, he can't run away from the hype. He's the number one pick. He can't run away from the media. This is what he wants. He needs to be front and center. This is his job now. And it's like, no, it's not. Tim Duncan was the number one pick. Tim Duncan was the greatest player to come out of the draft or whatever at the time, MVP, defensive player of the year. And he didn't do one interview his entire year. We didn't see a Tim Duncan interview from rookie year until he made the Hall of Fame. So I'm happy Victor has decided to go to San Antonio and hide under a rock. Not hide, go under a rock and work on his game. He will be in the lab with no cameras, with no hype around him because it's San Antonio and ESPN has a distaste for that city. So they won't be there to cover him. And I'm excited. He's going to be getting his rest.
They'll be there.
He won't be
but
fatigued.
they won't let him in.
He will get his rest. Yeah, Pop's not going to let them in at the gym. They're not going to be able to see him. But I am completely behind his decision. I think it's a very Spurs move.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the most Spurs move.
Yeah, can't get any more San Antonio.
But I'm just, I think that what that told me was that they saw what they needed to see, and I think you might have said that earlier in the podcast, but just that decision was like, okay, the Spurs feel good about that performance, and there's no reason to push it any further. And he said he wanted to get better every game. And this is a very optimistic view of looking at things. But if he were to continue on that trajectory, it's like, okay, does he really need to be getting like 30 and 15? I know it was 27 and 12, but y'all get what I'm saying. Does he really need to be getting 20 and 10 every game in the summer league with the risk of being injured? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, he doesn't. He needs to, honestly, he probably should be practicing going hard with Keldon. Like, you know what I'm saying, at the rim, or with Zach. He should be working with those guys more. And that's who he flew with from San Antonio. I don't know if you heard that nugget as well. He talked about that in the press conference. When he stayed back, he was with all the guys who are on the team now who were there on the sideline. Charles Bassett, Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. You saw all those guys.
Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham. Can't forget Devontae Graham. But they all flew with him. They all flew as a team from San Antonio. When he stayed back at the California Classic, he was working with them. So I think that's what he's going to be doing a lot of. I think it's the best decision for managing his workload. I think it's the best decision for his health. And I think that on top of with the bounce back performance, it's probably the best decision optically if you want to go in and kind of go under a rock. Now, the Spurs don't really care too much about that, but that is just another benefit. I think the main thing for me is I mean, I'm just gonna say, I mean, the Spurs are confident in it, so I feel good about it. And you can say that that's crazy as a Spurs fan, but I think objectively, me and you have talked about this, Ethan. Like this franchise hasn't had the success that they've had for no reason. Yes, we've lost some people along the way, but Brian Wright's plan is played out perfectly. Trust in the organization. They have the guardrails set up. Everybody's talking about it on ESPN. And I think this is just a part of their plan and the process. And I think it's a good idea, especially when you consider the fact that he's going to get more rest with not having to play FIBA. And he's going to get more time with his teammates, which will be good to practice against and to build chemistry with for the season.
Couldn't agree more with you, Mr. Jude.